So make sure you're in a safe place where you can take a minute or two for yourself and let Sam Levin lead us on a quick mindfulness exercise.
Awesome. Really fantastic. Can you guys hear me okay?
You're good. We're ready for your mindfulness 101, Sammy. Let's do it, buddy.
Great. Excellent. We'll start, and with many things in mindfulness, we like to have our eyes closed. Oftentimes, we like to, include physical touch to really loosen up the body and loosen up the mind. Mindfulness doesn't always have to be something in the mind, but for this exercise, that's exactly where I would like you guys to be. Your third eye, and you can feel free to bringing your pointer finger to that third eye, that space in between your two eyes, really center of your forehead. And just picturing a red dot, like a blinking control center. And inside is this mini version of you. You can be set up with an office space, beautiful, whatever you'd like, a beautiful room, a beautiful office space. This area is called your higher self, and what we'll do is we'll leave that office space. Go ahead and have some imagination here as you can let your hands down to your side and just poof, like have a little angel on your shoulder, a miniature version of you, and allow that miniature version of you to float up, looking above you now. For Sam and Parker and for everyone listening, picture what that angel of yourself, that higher self, is viewing, where you're sitting, what's supporting your seating, and the area around you. Maybe it's a desk in front of you, a bed to your side. Allowing your body just to float up a little bit more to the ceiling and through the ceiling, now overlooking your entire room. A little bit further, looking over your entire house or apartment. Wherever you are, take it in. If it's a small shoebox in New York, really just appreciate the building, the structure, maybe the architecture, as we float up even further to picture the entire block, the street we live on. Maybe it's your favorite restaurant or coffee spot. Feel free to picture maybe a neighbor walking his or her dog. Take in maybe a bench or a tree, things that are familiar to you. Continue to rise up, overlooking now your entire community. Maybe it is a restaurant a couple blocks away that you really love, or a park for sure, definitely a dog park you can think of. Continuing to expand upward, no longer just viewing the community, but now viewing the entire state. People are now dots. You're seeing more structures, buildings, lights from the city as you zoom up even further, now looking over your entire continent. Buildings fade and you're mostly seeing blue, green, and white. Blue from the bodies of water, green from maybe the forest or the trees, and white from the clouds as you're now within the clouds, floating up, continuing to rise until you are in outer space. It's nighttime now, so it should be easier to picture looking around and seeing tons and tons of stars. And one direction is the moon as well. Up here, looking down at the shape of the earth, I'd like you to think of anything that may have stressed you out today. Looking down, that thing looks really, really small. It might be something that was a problem for 10 minutes and is now gone, and it might be something you still have to face tomorrow. Regardless, it is really, really small in the big scheme of everything. In outer space, in the world, it is really small. At this moment, I'd like you to think of any breathing that you've done today and just measure it up as you begin to take your biggest and deepest breath of the entire day. In 3, 2, and 1. On that exhale, your higher self changes positions, and you can imagine it almost like Superman starting to come down back towards Earth, leaving the atmosphere, entering the clouds, coming back to viewing your continent and the shape of that, into the state, into your community, starting to see people and familiar faces, familiar restaurants, familiar street corners, and coming in even more to your street corner, to the block that you are building your life at, inside to your apartment buildings, the things that you hold closest to you, your greatest treasures, and back into your room, viewing you sitting hopefully very still, picturing where you are, and getting ready. We're going to take a short deep breath here as we re-enter the higher self back into the mind. And go ahead, and in a moment we'll open our eyes, go ahead and look around the room, find something that maybe you've glossed over before, something that is a flower maybe in the corner, or a picture frame of you and your family, or maybe it is something as simple as your window, and you're looking out your window and you've noticed a plant or something on the street. Go ahead and open your eyes and go ahead and look around the room. Take it in, and like I like to end all these sessions, in a moment you guys can say, "It is done."
It is
It
done.
is done.
Well done, Sammy. I really, really enjoyed that. It's such an interesting practice. Everyone has their own walkthroughs.
Sure.
Everyone has their way of going about it, and it's just like so nice to just take a moment to close your eyes and be aware and not sleeping with your eyes closed, but just like taking a step back and just, I mean, the way you spun that up is like realizing you could have a big problem in the day, but really, how big is it? It's pretty small in the grand scheme of things, you know?
I'd like to say 2 points. One is just, the closing your eyes. When people close their eyes, they often associate it with, going to sleep. Closing your eyes in mindfulness is a really easy way to re-energize yourself. It's translucent meditation. A lot of people do it if it's familiar to people. And it's just a recharge of the body. It's closing your eyes. It's actually just giving your eyes a rest, but not your body. Your mind is very alert and focused. And the other thing is, everyone teaches differently. That's improv for me. Every time I teach, it's different. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's really effective. Going into it with no judgment, and going into it with, really no forcefulness either, just allowing it to be, and to be as it is, and to feel the effects as they come, and not having any preconceived notion of what it is. That's really openness and mindfulness and its definition.
Love it. I feel like when I really get into a great meditative or just like state, like I feel like I have like grasp on like my head or something. I can't, in like my brain, it's just, I can feel the recharge almost. Like I can feel something happening. It's weird. I can't explain it, but and it feels good. It's like, I can't explain it, Levin, but like there's something that happens when you're really in that great, deep meditative state where it's like, whoa, I feel this right now.
Yeah, the number one skill or the number one benefit of mindfulness for me has been setting an intention during it, and then actually being able to execute after. I'm a huge procrastinator. I'm also someone that gets sidetracked very easily with mindfulness, especially during these sessions when I teach. Oftentimes, I already know what I want to do next. I want to read a book. I want to go straight to bed. I want to work out if I'm doing mindfulness in the morning. The next thing that I do, I have that same amount of focus and attention to detail and walking through it in a calm, cool, and collected way as I did in that mindfulness session. Mindfulness for me is a huge momentum builder, whether it's in long term, like building it into my month, or it's short term, just, what am I doing next? What am I doing after this phone call? That for me gives me a little bit of a body high. It makes me feel like I am really crushing that day or that night and, executing really well in terms of what I need to do to make sure that my health is really good and that my, performance at work is really good and all of those factors that make us feel good. So what you're feeling is, I would like to say it's a body high, but it doesn't always come. But similar to when you finish a really good run, you're runners, you feel very accomplished. You feel like you slowed down and you've changed your pace up. And it's something that I don't think you can necessarily put a word on because it's definitely to each their own, but it is something very positive. It is something that brings a lot of light and a lot of joy and is something that you continue to grow as you get better at mindfulness, as you use mindfulness more and more during your days, for sure.
It's
well
amazing,
said, my friend.
Thank you for being our mindfulness coach here at Elevation Nation, Sam. I think a lot of people really benefit from just taking a minute for themselves. We sometimes forget that we are the main characters in our lives. And if we don't take care of ourselves, no one else is going to for